You know that pop song that transports you to the park on a sunny day and instantly gives you the confidence to make you feel like you can just ask Zach Fox out through the DMs? If your answer isn't Someone to Call My Lover by Janet Jackson, our feeds are not the same. Not only has this song dominated my feed, it's also helped me to find so many other black female pop artists who love girly pop music. But eventually I stumbled upon a tweet by Rachel 𝔂𝓸𝓾𝓮 whose aesthetic and vibe make me feel those same pop vibes. And I had some questions. You can open for the biggest pop star in the world and the internet will still remind you daily that simply being black will make it twice as hard to be an indie pop star. As carefree as commercial pop music and the imagery and the fashion makes me feel, the deeper I dove into female pop star history, the more I realized how many obstacles there are when black women are behind the mic. Let's find out why. I'm Taylor Cassidy and this is Black Girl Magic Minute.
We need black queens on the TV screen and behind the scenes. Melanated women know what that really means. You need to be seen. They run the world full throttle. Pretty black faces, more than a model. Get black magic girl, put it in a bottle. Come on girl, it's your cue. Mad potential in you. Don't show it.
Before we get started, please pre-order my book, Black History is Your History. It's coming out in October, but please, pre-ordering will help me to be able to be put on the list for those special New York Times bestseller lists. So if you can, please pre-order. It's 12 Black history stories intertwined with personal stories from my life to help you in life's journey and teach you some history that you should know. So please pre-order. You can get it on Barnes & Noble, Simon & Schuster, Target, anywhere you get your books. And also, thank you so much for the love on Good Night Girl. Good Night Girl is a podcast where I answer you guys' advice. So thank you so much. I've been getting so much love from that. Pop music has 11 subgenres, okay? Hyper pop, bubblegum pop music, rock. So I need some help defining what girly commercial pop music really is. So, I reached out to the perfect pop stars to help me out.
Hi, I'm 𝔂𝓸𝓾'𝓮. I'm a singer-songwriter and I'm a pop star.
I don't care. I'm in my pretty girl era.
My name is Precious and I'm a pop artist and producer.
Hi, my name is Adanna Duru. I'm an artist and content creator.
How I describe girly bubblegum pop music? I would describe it as music that is fun, music that has a catchy hook. I think it's all about the melody, to be honest. And I think it's all about the feeling you get when you're listening to it. So if you're feeling yourself or you feel like you can conquer the day, like those kinds of songs, I don't know, I feel like that's my idea of like girly bubblegum music. Like I can, like me on top of the world, that makes sense to me.
Girly pop music is just for the femmes. It's for that feeling specifically of I'm extremely feminine, I'm hyper feminine, and I won't feel ridiculed or less than for it. I'm gonna indulge and embrace it. And that's what I feel when I hear the term girly pop.
Hey dudes, people call me Pebble. Why? Because I don't meet the height threshold to be a rocker. Britannica defines popular music as any commercially oriented music principally intended to be received and appreciated by a wide audience.
Who are your favorite girly pop artists?
Victoria Monet currently, also 𝓂𝓸𝓾𝓏. They have a song I love called Boys, which is really great. Everybody should listen to it.
I think like Doechii, Sweetie, and like all the girly pop, like what's the other girl? Mona Leo, stuff like that.
I really love Lizzo, loving Tyla, and always Beyonce.
Of course Beyonce. Janet Jackson, she's kind of little like, old school pop, but it's still good pop. Of course the girl Aaliyah.
In America, the first genres that could be considered pop music were pioneered by black people, like jazz and blues and country and rock. I am so sorry about that. Every time somebody talks about rock music, I just get so fired up. Last time, I had to call my therapist because I hit someone in the head with my air guitar. In the 60s, rock music was considered the most popular form of music, especially with young people. So, If rock music was at the top of the charts and black people pioneered it, why weren't we also having the same success?
Well, back in the 20s until about the 40s, for black people to successfully sell and record their music, they had to do so under the category of race record, which meant their work was only meant to be marketed to black audiences. A black person might own a shelf full of records by groundbreaking artists like Ma Rainey, Jelly Roll Morton, or Duke Ellington, all of whom became best-selling artists on so-called race records. But a white person might have no idea who any of those artists were, though they had sold thousands of copies. That's because race records were sold in stores and advertised in publications that catered to African Americans.
So even though the race record business declined by the 60s, the segregation of what music was played on radio stations still affected what music was considered black music. It was more difficult to be considered pop mainstream music. That is, unless your face was white. But you can learn more about that from me in the Black Girl Magic Minute Alt Deep Dive.
So that means you can make the most bubblegum pop sounding song or the most hardcore rock record and still be considered just a race record. You know, a variation of that still happens today.
It literally doesn't make sense. Like me just being a black girl, like a lot of times when, especially very early on, people would, when they would talk about me, they're like, yeah, this new like R&B pop girl. And I was like, none of my music would even play on an R&B playlist. They wouldn't even get radio R&B play. And I think that's just their code way of saying I'm black, you know? And it's just annoying because everyone else gets to come into pop music and like, especially like white people, but like everyone else does get to come into pop music and just be a pop star, a pop music artist. But black people have to do other things and then shift their way into pop. So I think that's what was different for my journey was I came right away and I said like, no girl, like I make pop music. Like stop trying to add pop period. There's nothing else. I remember when my song Pretty Girl Era came out and it was the last song, one of the playlists it was on was the last song of Best New Hip Hop Songs. I'm sorry, Pretty Girl Era might be one of the poppiest songs we had heard in a long time when that dropped. And it was literally the last song, number 100 on Best New Hip Hop Songs. And I was like, that shit is racist. Excuse my language. Like, that's insane. And I'm like tired of those microaggressions.
I've definitely even experienced just straight up having my songs put on R&B playlists, even when they're very bubblegum pop vibes. And I mean, it's kind of like, okay, like, I don't know what made you do that, but I just was like, okay, like, this is obviously something that's going to happen, especially while I'm still a small artist and you can't really you don't have as much control over these things as you would like to, as opposed to having more of a team behind you and being able to fix those things like really quickly. And then I also have experienced when people are inquiring about me, oh, you do music, you're an artist. Oh, like, what kind of music do you make? And when it is pop music and when they then end up playing my pop music, it's like, oh, this is you? This is you? I'm like, yeah, that's definitely me.
Rachel Sheeny Riri shared an experience where early in her career, her indie pop songs wound up on R&B playlists on streaming platforms because she was black. As she spoke out, her music was taken off R&B playlists and put where it belonged. With that, I hit 1 million monthly listeners simply because my music was put in the right playlist. And how could we forget when Tyler, the Creator, called his Grammy that he won for Rap Album of the Year a backhanded compliment?
Whenever we, and I mean guys that look like me, do anything that's genre bending or that's anything, they always put it in a rap or urban category, which is, and I don't like that urban word. It's just a politically correct way to say the N-word to me. Why can't we just be in pop? Why can't it just, you know what I mean? So I felt like half of me feels like the rap nomination was a backhanded compliment. Like, oh, my little cousin wants to play the game. Let's give him the unplugged controller so he could shut up and feel good about it.
The concept of race records in the early 1900s set the tone in the Western music industry that your blackness can put you in a separate genre before your music can. Even though black people are the originators of many forms of popular music back then and today.
I have a question. Black people have had success in pop music. So what really happens when you cross over into the mainstream?
I think we should hear that from an actual music artist. Welcome back, everybody, to the All Night Show. Today we're here with Tenacity. Your fans have waited such a long time for your single solo ride to come out. Well, Jeremy, it's just such a relief that I can finally give it to the fans, you know? Did you ever think that you were gonna be a pop star? Actually, yes. It started with my love for Whitney Houston when I was a little girl. If I have to introduce you to Whitney Houston, I'm sorry, but you're not my niche audience, so I'm not gonna do it. I mean, black female artists became icons in the pop music industry like Diana Ross, but Whitney, she just blew it out of the water. She just inspires my music so much. She's like the certified 80s pop girly. But that success wasn't without some curation. I want to know. Tell me more. Well, CEO Clive Davis consciously molded her into a white-friendly pop princess. Anything that was too black sounding was sent back to the studio. Arista's head of promotion says in Whitney, Can I Be Me? We didn't want a female James Brown. And to be honest with you, Jeremy, that worked. By 1989, Whitney Houston had the highest selling debut album by a female artist thus far. And she had accolades upon accolades. That's a black woman winning. Who gave her a projector? She also had civil rights activist Al Sharpton calling her Whitey Houston, and the black community booing her at the Soul Train Awards. They thought her music sounded too whitewashed. He singled out Whitney Houston and Lionel Richie as cultural mulatto, neutered mutation instead of thriving hybrids, trying to please both worlds instead of themselves. They end up truly pleasing neither. And you know, Jeremy, it's very interesting to me. It's true, Whitney Houston's image was curated to please white audiences like yourself. But she sang because she loved it. And she sang music that she liked. And because all of those lyrics were sung by a black woman, one could say that it was sung from a black perspective.
The rest of the world put black people in this box. But then I think a lot of black people also put ourselves in this box. And if you don't want to belong to that box, then like you're not cool. We don't really mess with you. As a kid, if everyone who's on TV that is depicted as beautiful, none of them look a little bit like you, what does that say about you?
People's minds would if they automatically just assume that it's not a black person, it will blow up. But it's like I feel like it's not the same if they were to know it's a black artist in the first place. Oftentimes that virality comes from, oh, I didn't know they were black.
We know black women can have success in the pop music charts, but the industry is more likely to categorize them as R&B, neo-soul, rap, hip-hop, and there are absolutely nothing wrong with those genres. I love them. But when it comes to girly, feminine, light pop music, and stepping into that powerful pop star role model role, it's suddenly different.
Media and the industry has quietly been racializing genres of music more and more and more. It seems like pop music is starting to be gatekept to a certain race of people. While R&B and rap is great, it just doesn't have the same reach and cross all market value. Pop star used to be something that a lot of black people had the label of. We had Beyonce, Janet, Whitney, Brandy, and Monica. I just don't understand when pop music equaled white girls.
Think about black artists today whose music and image are authentically themselves by merging different kinds of pop music with their own style. They still receive backlash. On September 3rd, Lizzo's Truth Hurts became the #1 song on the Billboard Hot 100, a record-breaking feat for black women in both hip-hop and pop. However, the climb to the top has been met with criticism from people labeling her catalog white people music due to its pop nature.
And I've been told also the similar things as Lizzo. I was like, you need to make a song more for black people. Like, you need to make sure that black people don't forget about you. And I'm like, my music is for black people. It's for everyone. But my music is being told from the point of view of me being a black woman. Do I have to be more derogatory for it to feel like it's for the black community? Do I have to it's sad. I feel like it's sad what people want to consider it, what people think it needs to be for it to feel like it's speaking to black people, because again, there are so many of us and we do not all listen to the same things. We also don't all come from the same cultures, and I think that's a real thing people need to realize.
Every time they try to give us one, or there's so many people out here making music, Twitter and the fans are like tearing this person down. Whenever a black pop star tries to emerge, or even a black female artist, it's always about their looks, who they're dating, all these other things besides their music. And it's interesting because we can have a Billie Eilish and Olivia Rodrigo, a 𝔂𝓸𝓾'𝓮 and a 𝓫𝓮𝓪𝓾𝓽𝓲𝓯𝓾 Carpenter all coexist without their fan base being like, you're copying this person and being like Taylor Swift and doing this, and why is she dressed like this? But when it comes to, you know, black artists, it's like, well, she's never going to be Rihanna or Beyonce or this, blah, blah. And it's so interesting because how are we expecting to have this next thing when the minute we get a glimpse of one, we just tear her to shreds?
Lizzo's music feels unapologetically black because it's a black woman's voice singing from her perspective around self-love and relationships. But when black women step into the girly, pop aesthetic of femininity, playfulness, lightness, it's harder for the public to take them seriously, even when it's their authentic sound. And I have a theory why. Let's go back to Rachel Chinariri's tweet. It was in response to a fan who tweeted in Portuguese, "I fear she won't be able to make it like Gracie Abrams, Olivia Rodrigo, 𝓂𝓸𝓾, because she's black. May God protect my girl." The tweet was with good intention, but it does show an underlying assumption that people make that being black will always be an obstacle, a negative thing. So Rachel responded, "I deserve to feel like I have a chance at a successful music career because I love storytelling and hope people like me because of my music and not just because of my race." If we look at a few examples of pop girlies that fan gave, plus a few of my own, let's see what aspects that they all have in common that make them pop girlies. 𝓂𝓸𝓾, Olivia Rodrigo, Gracie Abrams, Sabrina Carpenter. From press about all of these artists, I found that the common thing between all of them is that they're either celebrated for the idea of navigating girlhood and innocence or being a role model for women's empowerment. I'm not saying that's all they're celebrated for, but it is a big reason people follow them. And often both of these things come from very glamorous displays of femininity. Now, if we simplify and generalize and say that two big aspects of being a commercial female pop star have to do with being a role model and some aspect of femininity, we can find answers historically on why black women in the media have been seen as the opposite of those things. We're about to get into some black trauma and violence, so if that's not your jam, here's the timestamp to skip to. During slavery, enslaved black people legally did not have ownership over their own bodies. With black women in particular, this meant the constant threat and reality of sexual harassment and abuse from their enslavers. And even after slavery was over, black women still dealt with the very real threat of sexual violence against them. One of racism's salient historical features has always been the assumption that white men, especially those who wield economic power, possess an incontestable right of access to black women's bodies. As long as these white men in power felt that they had ownership over black women's bodies, their innocence would always be deemed non-existent. Since slavery, the vulnerable condition of the household worker has continued to nourish many of the lingering myths about the immorality of black women. Even the outstanding writer Gertrude Stein described one of her black women characters as possessing the simple, promiscuous unmorality of black people. What I'm trying to say is that black women historically have been abused and assaulted and then blamed for it. So when racist white people thought of black women, they projected their own immorality and cruelty onto them, no matter how young and innocent they were. And if it wasn't promiscuity assumed over black women, imagery of black women were and are masculinized and rarely displayed as ultra soft and ultra feminine. You can learn more about that in my coquette deep dive. With mostly white men historically conducting the music industry, the Western music industry, guess who they saw and marked as innocent, a role model, fun, and empowering for young women? Most of the time, black women were not the first pick.
It's weird because I feel like black women are kind of not allowed to be vulnerable and like truly vulnerable. When you are doing that, people are like, whoa, 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 like this may be a little too white for us. And it's sad. We all feel the same things. And I know in every walk of life, black women were always expected to be so strong, but like, hey, like you don't always have to carry the whole world on your back. You're supposed to let it go and you're supposed to release it. So music like Lizzo's, mine, SZA's, other people, like those are safe spaces for some people, especially people of color who feel like they haven't had that space to be safe. I don't know.
Let's take, for example, MTV. It was a channel with music videos from artists and was insanely popular with teens like in the 80s and 90s. And Jump Scare, they initially were not playing a lot of black artists. One of the reasonings why from a host from MTV, we have to try and do what we think not only New York and Los Angeles will appreciate, but also Poughkeepsie or the Midwest. Pick some town in the Midwest that would be scared to death by Prince, which we're playing, or a string of other black faces. As if black people couldn't live in all of those places too and wanted to see themselves. This reasoning tells me that in the industry, being black can automatically disqualify you from being seen as a good role model. It makes you scary, and it makes you unfit to show in the mainstream. And definitely not to your kids. Even Whitney Houston's team jumped through hoops and hurdles to strip any part of herself that would remind people of blackness. As a black female pop star, especially if your music is meant to be feminine, empowering, lighthearted, and playful, you must prove your innocence and purity because society has already stolen it from you from the time you were a little girl.
America has created like this stereotype of black women always being hypersexual, and that's like trickled down into the modern day, and it still affects black women to this day. So it's really hard to escape that narrative. For a lot of black women, it's not as easy to just like be Sabrina Carpenter and talk about coffee. Like you kind of have to like, you know, try a little harder, be a little cutie, you know, try a lot harder than your white peers do. And yeah,
I definitely think that there needs to be more representation of like a variety of type of pop music, not just like sexual pop music. Like, you know, there's uppy pop music, there's, you know, chill hippie pop music. Like there's so many different genres, and I feel like they're not explored and delved into as much. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think that girly women are just underrepresented in general. I think there's like a way people want to see black women, and that's how they market black women. I don't think they give black women a chance to really be feminine as much as possible. Same with acting. Like I do acting, and it's like a lot of roles that people think for me as like tough roles, and it's like I would like prefer to be feminine, like the romantic like interest. Yeah. And just thinking all the women who are like singing for love music and it's pop music, happy music, I think there could be a lot more of that. Saying that it's like white people music takes us out of the equation. So I think that's a horrible thing, and I think more black women, you know, I think they should just say every woman, black woman love pop. Like it's fine.
And another point, even if you are a white woman who is clearly saying very suggestive, promiscuous is a weird word to use actually, very suggestive, sultry lyrics, your innocence can still be kept intact and you can still be seen as family friendly. Pop stars like Madonna and Sabrina Carpenter have very clearly suggestive lyrics, and yet their whiteness still holds space for them to be seen as family friendly, mainstream, for everybody. And when black women do become pop stars, pop icons, most of the time they're light-skinned. Meaning you can't be black and have girly pop music success, but in the industry's eyes, you have to be the right kind of black.
I had a lot of internalized racism just sitting in me of things that I would tolerate that I didn't even realize just were like, there was an option to not tolerate. And then I went on American Idol and I was like, oh, no matter how good I am or no matter how beautiful or charming I am, like all the white contestants are just going to wash all the black contestants out of the water no matter what, because this is a white show. Like mostly white people are watching this. So even if the black person wins, it's like all the white people are going to be up here in numbers. I just remember being young and being told like, don't look too Afrocentric if you want to get far on any of these shows.
And listen, I love me some Tyla. I love me some Pink Panthers, but I do think it's very clear that colorism in the mainstream makes it more readily acceptable of black people so long as you meet a Eurocentric standard. Well, that's enough black trauma for today. I need a black joy break. Tenacity, you got it.
We've been through so much healing, being used like breathing. Tell me you see what this love has done to me. Don't forget to choose me every time. Now you think you're not enough. Now you say my heart's too tough to love. That's so absurd. The right to love should not be earned. This is not about a crush, yearning for another's touch. It's 99 degrees. It's Friday. I don't need no relief. Wind in my curls on the fly. Table for one, I take my time. Being with me got me on a high. Oh, I've seen a lot of trouble, but through the dirt and rubble, I love watching me grow, 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 grow. Life feels like milk and honey. I like who I'm becoming. Not falling for all the things that used to bruise me.
Like I'm in therapy, emotional regulation, period.
Tell me that my heart's enough. Be my friend when things are tough.
You're my first love. Say I do, release the dust.
Sing it out, you're my first choice. I love you through all the noise. Head up high, I strap with boys.
Self-love is when I feel the
Bring them my curls on a solo ride. You know I'm feeling extra fly. Table for one, I take my time. Being with me got me on a high. Oh, I've seen a lot of trouble, but through the dirt and rubble, I love watching me grow, 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 grow.
To create pop music as a Black woman not only breaks historical barriers, it creates a soundtrack for Black women to feel their own girlhood again. When we listen to it, growing up, innocence, thinking and dreaming about the future, all becomes safe and possible outside of the restrictions of white supremacy.
Like the moments where I'm down and then I'm like, I don't want to do this, it's exhausting, but then you get a DM of someone saying like, hey, you saved my life. And this and that. Like, I've gone that about Pretty Girl Era, which I just wrote a fun song about me feeling myself, being like, yes, it's my season, I'm drinking my water, I'm going to the gym, I feel good about myself, but not realizing the next person that heard it needed it because they needed something to make them realize that like, hey, they are beautiful and they can keep going on. So I feel like that is what's so beautiful about music. You don't know. I'm just going to put it out there as is, but you don't know what it's going to do for someone else.
I wanted to see more Black women be regarded as pop because I think Black women should be able to take up space wherever. It shouldn't just be in the R&B space. It shouldn't just be in this space or that space. It's like we make everything. Black people made disco, like Four on the Floor. That's us, which is now EDM, which is now white music. It's like, fuck that. Like, why did we let white people hijack everything? Like, why is it white music? Like, why they get to have that? Actually, that's very Black if you really wanted to have the conversation.
Do y'all not think there's not quirky Black girls? Do we not think there's not Black girls that love pop and rock and all these other genres? Like, it's just so sad to me that like you bought into what you think a Black person's supposed to be, and now you're kind of trying to keep us in that box. But again, the more representation happens, the more Black girls will realize, hey, I'm allowed to be whatever I want. I'm allowed to like whatever I like. And that's cool.
Yes, racism and colorism still very much exists in the music industry. But artists like Iris Starr, Flower of Love, Rachel Sheena-Riri, and more are reaching millions of people with their storytelling and art.
You can find me everywhere. If you look up I Go By Lou, IGOBYLU. On music platforms, look up 𝓂𝓾𝓮. That is my name. I just dropped my sophomore EP, No Tears on This Ride, is out now. And I'm on tour, my very first headline tour.
If you want to find me, my username is PreciousXMusic, or on streaming platforms, my name is just Precious. I'll be the one with, I believe I still have a pink profile picture on my artist pages. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
I am at Adanna Duru everywhere, ADANNADURU.
Thank you so much for watching Black Girl Magic Minute. I'm so happy to release this episode. Y'all don't even know, I've had this idea for over a year, and now it's coming into fruition. Thank you so much, Adanna, 𝓂𝓾𝓮, and Precious, for letting me interview y'all. It was so cool. Thank you so much for watching. Please pre-order my book. Keep watching Good Night Girl on my YouTube channel, and if you want more videos like this one, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My goal is 100K by the end of the year. I want that YouTube plaque. I've been content creating for over 10 years. I want the plaque. I gotta be honest. Please comment what other types of videos you want to see from me. And I've made a playlist for you guys full of pop songs by Black female artists. So if you want to look at that, that's in my bio. Remember that who you are and what you like is perfect just the way it is. So keep your head up, keep your dreams up, and keep rising.
Round one.